This is Three Beards Media. Real talk, no filters, no scripts. From sports to culture, we say what others won't. Turn it up, lock in, because it all starts right now. Live from the AKC Andrew Downs Studios and powered by Revelton Distilling Company.
If you want to know where the storm rolls next, you gotta read the clouds over old Midwest. Every yard, every basket, every mat that's worn. You learn to see the future by tracking the storm. We're tracking the storm, watching it form. From Jack Trice's courage to the heroes yet born. Hilton lights shining like lightning in the night. Jack Trice way, glowing in the stadium lights. From the sweat in the barn to the roar in the stands. Every cyclone story's written in the land. Yeah, the path gets clearer with each legend swarm. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Dwayne Crutchfield, pounding turf like rain. Big 8 Saturdays, driving through the pain. 2 years, rushing past 1,000 on the ground. Made the whole conference feel that thunder sound. Then Troy Davis hit the hole like a flash. Back to back, 2,000 turn records into ash. Heisman nights, but win or lose that day.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, we're only 4 minutes late. We're good.
Technical difficulties. Then I look at my phone and I've got 4% battery left on my phone.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but working good here on the phone. So
there you go. Well, we're in.
I did about tonight's show. I mean, this is going to be kind of, we always do our research, right? Before every show about who's going to be on and finding out a little bit of details. We've gone back in history and gone on this. And today had to be the easiest one to prep for me because I just turned on the highlights and just watched it over and over and over. And it was a human highlight reel. It was fantastic.
It was easy for me because I didn't miss every game that this gentleman played in. I watched every single game. So
I missed all but 3 because I was living out in Western New York at the time. So I did catch a couple of them. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But, man, let's not wait any longer. Let's get this guy on.
Absolutely.
Here he goes. Seneca Wallace, how are you, buddy?
What's up, man?
Awesome. It is awesome.
How you guys doing?
Doing really good.
Doing really well. Thank you so much
fantastic.
for taking the time, Seneca. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, really.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
This has been a long time coming for me, Seneca. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while. We even texted a couple times, and then it just never worked out. You're super busy. This was when you had the restaurants here in town and things like that. So things are probably a little quieter now, right? Now that you don't have the restaurants.
Absolutely, man. I mean, look, being a franchisor like I was in Iowa came with its challenges, but just things that come with trying to open and start a business from the ground up, and just dealing with educating people, getting them to understand how Wingstop operates, and so dealing with people and as far as employees go, it came with its challenges, man. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, we all learn from things that we've gone through, as far as players, as far as business owners, as far as parents. And so it was a fun ride, but I'm definitely glad that the journey's over and we handed them off to somebody else. I literally got an Instagram message from somebody asking about they left something in one of the stores. They thought I still was the owner, which surprisingly, since I've sold them 2 years ago, this is the first message I probably got on Instagram from maybe a disgruntled customer. So it's been good, man, but I'm glad I'm out of that business.
Well, like they say about the restaurant business, you don't own a restaurant. The restaurant owns you.
That's right. 1,000%. Absolutely.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, man, we're going to get to that story. I've got a great one for you, and we're going to get to it. But I like to kind of get started about back to your days of growing up in Sacramento, and I know you're close with as we all are with our parents, and moving different ways and going different places, and how you got started and how roads led to Iowa State. Can you give us a hear that real quick?
Well, I mean, it was very different than most. Coming out of high school in 1998, I wasn't a qualifier. So I didn't know I wasn't a qualifier until my senior year. So going into my senior year and getting recruited, the recruiters started coming around and saying, hey, well, you're short XYZ classes. In order for us to give you this scholarship, you have to meet our criteria. And that's an NCAA thing. So, I had to get a C or better in geometry. I had to have 3 or 4 years of transferable English. I had to have all these things. But at the time, even coming out of high school, I was just an athlete. I was a kid who played the game of football in the parking lot with the shark cleats on, running around, just emulating and just trying to be different guys. And so I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just an athlete. And so I was happy to receive a scholarship at the time to Oregon State. And the junior college that was there in Sacramento knew my situation as far as not being a qualifier. And so they said, well, hey, I know we talked. If things don't work out at Oregon State, you got a spot here at Sacramento City College. And at the time, I'm like, man, I don't want to go to junior college, man. I mean, I'm bigger than that. I'm better than that. But I think it ended up being the best decision for me. But so I ended up going to Oregon State. Found out about a month later, my mom had cancer. Ended up coming back because there was one class that the NCAA didn't agree. And so, we had letters written from principals, guidance counselors, parents, everything else, but the petition didn't go through. So I ended up back at Sacramento City College, where then I started to get to the next level of just development from a quarterback's perspective. And so I ended up becoming a JUCO All-American. Iowa State was recruiting heavy in junior colleges, and specifically in California, because we had a lot of them and a lot of good ones. And so there was a guy named Clyde Sanders that ended up going to Iowa State from Sacramento. And so I had a bunch of recruiting trips, different places, and Iowa State just felt right at the time. There was a lot of guys. Sage was leaving. They just came off a bowl. And so for me, I felt like it's Big 12. Did I know anything about Iowa? Absolutely not. I didn't know nothing about Iowa. The only team that nothing, not one thing. But the only thing that I mean, because in even California, during the late 90s, I mean, the only teams that were always on Midwest-wise was like Iowa. I felt like they had an agreement with ABC, NBC, whatever, whoever it was. They were always on at 10 o'clock in California. So that's the only thing I knew. But I had a blast on my recruiting trip, and then ended up committing to Iowa State, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
What was your first meeting with Coach McCarney like?
Intense.
I see the smirk. See the smirk? No, I can see it.
It was intense. It was intense. It was someone that you would want to be the leader of your franchise, be the leader of your team. Because obviously every football player and every team emulates their leader. You take on their personality per se, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just how we were. We were always going into every game. My 2 years there as underdogs mostly, and we had to play gritty. We had to fight for 4 quarters. We knew what every game that we got into, how intense it was going to be. It was never going to be just a blowout and one-sided game on our side, and we knew these things. But I think that's the reason why the culture changed under his leadership. I mean, he took Iowa State, pretty much from where they were nothing and got us to a place where, it springboarded to Coach Rose. And then, forgot who we had after that, guy from Auburn, Chiswick, and then Chiswick, then Rose, and then to Campbell. And then we just started going here, and we've been there ever since. So, my hat goes off to him.
Yeah, that was a good transition as we went through it. Coach McCarney, he actually recruited me out of high school from back in 1982, and mm-hmm. And then he was at University of Iowa at the time. But I got to know him a little bit along the way, and then when he got into at Iowa State, that was a big day for us, and
right.
He took it to a new level as far as a commitment to the program, and he really kind of forced the administration to do so. And
right,
there was times there for a while where the administration would not even allow any player to come on to Iowa State that didn't qualify above and beyond the NCAA standards.
Right.
And he brought it back to at least let's look at the NCAA standards, and it really helped. Obviously
Hmm.
getting great talent like yourself,
Right.
coming in, and you know, I'm going to go down a couple different paths here, but you get in your first time, you're coming into Iowa State, you're playing your first games, um, 2001, I believe it was.
Hmm.
9/11 happens, so you got to postpone the big game against Iowa. And
Iowa.
most
Uh-huh.
classes, I guess, agreed to play us at the end of the year, although they won't do it anymore. But um, just talk about your first experience of interacting with the fans, interacting with your new teammates, and everything else. How'd that go for you?
I mean, it was awesome. It was like I said, Iowa. I married an Iowa girl, and they embraced me with open arms. They didn't see color. I got to be honest. I mean, I'm coming from California, so it was a huge culture shock for me, right? And I came in January, February, so I had the culture shock, and I also had the winter shock. So I had two things I had to get used to immediately. And so the foundation was set early on with Coach Nelly recruiting me from Sacramento. May him rest in peace. Um, but we had a great staff, and we were very diverse staff with Alfred and Coach Grant and Steve Loney, who was my OC the first year, who I still have a great relationship with. And so all these people that really helped pour into me to make that transition from a kid from California to the Midwest, to nothing but cornfields. And so, the fans played a huge part in that. I started off, I still remember I came out the first day of spring ball, and you think spring, you're like, okay, I mean, California, spring, it could be, 75, 80, weather's going to be halfway decent. But in Ames, Iowa, it was like the first day of spring was 40 wind gusts, and I didn't know it. And I went out, and at the time, obviously, this, we didn't have an indoor. So
Nope.
you either went to the rec or you went
Mm.
to the outside turf field that we had that is
Nope.
now the indoor. And so I went outside, and I remember Coach Woodley, he was looking at me. He's like, dude, you ain't going to be cold? I was like, no, man, this ain't bad. I went out there for the first 5 minutes. It was over. And I started to second guess being there at Iowa State. I'm like, is this for me? Um, but I had a great roommate, great teammates that also came from a junior college. So I say all that is just because it was a blessing that I didn't really know that was going to turn out the way it did. I have three beautiful kids, a wife from Iowa. We go back every year. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. And like I said, till this day, I can go back to Ames, anywhere in Iowa. They talk about a few things, always a game against Iowa. They talk about the run, they talk about Florida State, but it's always the same conversation. And so that means to tell me I did something right there at the state.
Well, I can tell you when I put it out and Chris put it out on the different social media platforms that we go under, and we said you're going to be the guest. I had a ton of text messages. I had a ton of other responses through the different social media. You've been one of the guys a lot of folks have wanted to hear from, and a couple weeks ago we had on the Bosky brothers, Tom and Chris Bosky, who go back into the '70s when Iowa State was really good, and that was a really big one. And we've had Alex Espinoza, another quarterback from California, went through the same process as you did with adjusting to everything.
Mhm.
And his story's similar but yet
Yeah.
different. And it's amazing. Iowa State's a special place. I grew up in Iowa. I grew up, for the most part, an Iowa State fan growing up.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I had the benefit of that in front of me, but hearing and seeing guys come from all over the United States, having seen it when I played there, I think we had like 30 some states represented when I played there. So
Right.
it was, but it's a melting pot of just good people, and,
Absolutely.
and they welcome me in, and they get excited about it, and they love to reminisce, and
Oh
I'm gonna have
yeah.
to reminisce here in a little bit about a couple things, but it was it's I'm very happy that you're able to join us tonight.
Yeah.
Make the calendar work for it.
No, that was kind of Max thing though. It was all the coaches, like I said, is a very diverse staff, but they also knew the character of each person they were recruiting and how important it was. especially when you're going out and let's just say 90% of your team at that time was from different places, either Florida, Texas, or California.
Yeah, right.
And so, you had to make sure you made it feel somewhat like home as much as you could. Now it's different, right? I mean, I think now you go back to Ames, the playing field, I mean, honestly, despite the weather, you got everything else that every other big
Mm-hmm.
college has in the country. Facilities, all the bells and whistles. Yeah, it's in a small town, but that's college football. You want it to be a small town where, everybody engulfs on that city, play the game, everybody goes their other way. So, it's a great time right now to be a Cyclone. And hopefully with our new head coach, we just keep kind of building off what we've already had laid down.
The 2001, you're staying at the hotel, you're on your bus, you're coming into the where all the tailgates are going on. You're coming into your first game. What's going through your mind?
uh, I don't know, man. I think everything was so surreal the first year. First game against you and I. I mean, here's the thing. I think I realized I was where I needed to be, and I could play at this level was probably spring ball. I think spring ball happened so quickly, and at the time, Iowa State didn't really have an identity as far as who was going to be their quarterback. So that's why they went out. They recruited me heavy. They got another guy named Dustin Oaks. They had Chris Love. We had, probably 6 quarterbacks on our roster at the time. And so I think once we got Garrett, oh gosh, and then another guy named Garrett, but I can't remember his first name. But he was on the roster. And these are all scholarship guys. And so I think, honestly, without, trying to toot my own horn, but I think after the very first or second practice and then the spring game, I knew I could play at this level, right? And so my confidence kind of went from there. And then going into the game against Northern Iowa and watching them on film, I don't think I really realized the magnitude because it was 9/11, right? You and I was you and I. I felt like that was a really good kind of starter game to get my feet wet. But when I was out there running, I had 2 rushing touchdowns that game. I'm like, okay, I could do this. And that kind of springboarded to the next game. But it wasn't really until we had our first real, I would say Big 12 competition, is when I realized like, okay, this is real. Going to Nebraska that year, it was real. Having to play against these teams because that year our schedule was pretty tight, but we didn't play. We played at UT that year, but we had the following year, the year that I was up for the Heisman, is when things got really real. But as far as like going into that first game against you and I was just, ours are already focused on the fact that I knew I could play at this level.
Sure.
I misspoke, Seneca. I just remembered. So I said I watched every one of your games. I skipped the Nebraska game, and this is why. I was so nervous for that game because we had never beaten. When I was growing up, we never beat them.
Right.
That I went and played golf that day and avoided the game like the plague. And then when I found out we won, I watched it later that night.
Oh yeah,
So-
man. Look, it was.
So I
Come on
mean,
now.
that was some intense. So I mean, here I am, a big fan, things like that. But at some point, did you start to feel the pressure that like, hey, the culture's changing here, and I have a lot to do with that?
Mhm.
Did you feel that? What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, again, there are so many great moments. Those 2 years that I was there, and obviously, I mean, how many people can say they've been part of a team that after a big victory, because it doesn't happen in the National Football League, right, where people go storm the field,
Right.
and
Yep.
so that I mean, storming the field would be in a sense of winning the Super Bowl. Confetti's coming down, and they're rushing to put the stage up, and so that's kind of the scene when you win the Super Bowl. But it's still nothing like being able to have 30,000 fans bum rush a football field after the game is over. And so we had that moment against Nebraska. So, you know, that moment against them, I literally was talking because one of our friends is a big Nebraska fan, and we were just talking about the game. And they kind of at that time the year before they went to the national championship game, and they ended up losing to Miami. And then the following year, obviously, Eric Crouch was gone, Jamal Lord was the quarterback, but they still was Nebraska.
Yep.
Now they just had to, they had some bumps in the road. They weren't dominating like they were to start the season. So we knew it was still going to be a competitive game. They were still ranked the top 15, I think we played them, at least top 20. But there was a lot of things that obviously with Iowa State football, opportunistic situations, turnovers that we got to turn into big plays. Because obviously, yeah, we talent wise, a lot of the teams that we beat in those 2 years, did we have the talent as everybody else? No, that goes back to the conversation I had about
Mhm.
Coach Matt. We just had to we had to play gritty football. We had to be able to take advantage of opportunities and short fields and turnovers and protect the football, play well on special teams. And when we did all these things, we could beat any team. But when we were careless and sloppy with the ball, bad tackling, weren't creating turnovers, it just made it hard. But that night against Nebraska, everything just fell into place. We're at home. We had a little momentum. They fumbled the ball around a little bit, and they were just down a little bit, but still a physical team, like Nebraska was during that time. And we just had to make sure that we played a good, solid 4 quarters of football.
So it was you guys were number 20. Nebraska was number 19. After you
Right.
win that game and you're in the locker room, what's that? What was the vibe like with your teammates? And I would love to know what Coach McCarney said,
Well,
because I
shoot,
feel
you're
like he probably
asking.
then shit talked how shitty you guys were in other aspects, so you wouldn't get a big head. That's what I get from Coach McCarney.
Well, I mean, when you win a game like that, I mean, shoot, I mean, I don't remember. It was years ago. What was actually said in that locker room? Um, I know we sang the hell out of that fight song. I know that. Um, I do know that. I'm pretty sure that our locker room was rocking.
Yep.
Just because to be able to do that, heck, you think about the year before. At that time, under Coach Mack, they had won 10 games, I think, with Sage. And schedule wise, it had lined up perfect. And a lot of those teams that they did play, heck, I think the only team they faced that year because we flip flopped during that time, so they didn't
Yeah.
play like A&M, they didn't play K State, they didn't play a lot of the top dogs, but they won 10 games. That's including the bowl. And so, but they really truly didn't beat a really really good solid team, right? Like we did. I
Mhm.
mean, if you take my 2 years, honestly, beating Nebraska, beating Iowa, which that was one game that Matt always talked about. But to beat them on the road in the fashion that we did, you think about it. I mean, those are probably the two major wins for him because we hadn't beaten Nebraska in 32 years. K State still to this day is always one of those games where you might lose three in a row, then you beat them one year. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's not a pure just dominance. It would have been if we beat an Oklahoma, we beat a Texas. You know what I mean? That's how it was when we beat Nebraska. So, for us to be in that locker room, I'm sure there was water bottles being thrown everywhere, and it was a huge moment to be able to see. Even Lateef Austin, I think our cornerback was up on a pole and he was yanking the goalpost down. So shoot, I don't even remember if we even had a huge breakdown because there was people everywhere and they had stormed the field. And maybe they stormed the field at some point, maybe even through your career, Keith, and you maybe saw it. But obviously, me growing up in California, I mean, shoot, the only time I saw anybody storm the field was Cal versus Stanford and John Elway there.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was a pretty cool moment for sure.
Hey, I'm gonna go. I've talked a little bit about it. I'm gonna go to the Iowa game in Kinnick Stadium, 2002.
Hmm.
I'm working for this company, and I'm like, we gotta go to this bar called Danny's, right? It's right by Buffalo Bills Stadium. It's a great bar. We're all in there. I go, we gotta watch this. It's Iowa State. It's the only game I get to watch that's during the regular season. I didn't get to see anything. Nothing else was played in the state of New York. So we've got, I don't know, 35, 40 guys that I work with and other people that are there, and they all wanted to come and watch the game. And I said I'd buy a couple drinks for everybody or whatever. So we get there, and it's 24-7 at halftime, and they're looking at me like,
"You really want to watch this?"
Yeah, I'm like, I go, you gotta give me the third quarter. You gotta give it to the third quarter. And I'm telling you, about 6 minutes or so to go in the third quarter, the people that I was with were striking a pose like they were like, you were the Heisman Trophy winner. It was awesome. We were absolute riot. The bartender got into it. He's feet after the win. He's giving out free drinks and everything else. I turned the entire freaking bar into an Iowa State bar.
Yeah, come on. But that's what it's about, though. I mean, like, to be able to be part of history like that, and people still talk about it till this day. I mean, honestly, you go down the list and you can rank biggest games, Iowa State. Obviously, that's number one. Has to be.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, even from a standpoint of what they went on to do, the University of Iowa, they only had one loss, and that was us.
Yep.
But again, it was one of those situations that pretty much summed up how MAC was and how we competed to the end, right? We're down, we're losing, no one panicked. We prepared for this moment all off season. We just needed a few things to go our way. I don't think we played sloppy football the first quarter or the first half. It's just the fact that, they had all these big hogs up front with Russell back 8 yards deep, and they were gashing us at one point. But that's why you love football. You make your adjustments at halftime. You come back out. You can create turnovers, get some short fields, turn them into points. And when we did that, we got the momentum back, and then we held on to it. It wasn't until one moment, there in the fourth quarter, when we were backed up on our two, and we had, 3rd and 15 or whatever it was, where I had to make the throw to eat more clock. Because at that point, it turned into a field position game.
Yeah.
We had a couple turnovers from Brad Banks. And again, opportunistic. We got to be able to turn those into points. And heck, they had a hell of a team. Iowa did. I mean, shoot, they had probably one of the defensive players was NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Bob Sanders.
Yeah.
So, they had some studs and some ballers on that team. And again, like I said, you look at our roster, you look at theirs, and it's no disrespect to what we had out there playing, but when Brad Banks is playing with 5 first-round offensive linemen, Steinbeck, Gallery, and then maybe one other guy, that's a big difference. The only one we had on our D-line that can match up with those was Jordan Carson.
Right.
So, we played great ball, and that's why, like, regardless of my NFL career, and I had a lot of great moments during that time, but to be able to have that moment, to be able to beat Iowa, because it could have went a totally different way where we get blown out 45 to whatever, but to win that game was huge.
Well, funny as it is, Three Beards Media, actually, we run several different podcasts. We do a Hawkeye podcast. We did one live last Sunday at a card signing, and Brad Banks and Desmond King sat down with the guys, and I got to meet Brad Banks last week, and I quickly reminded him that he didn't beat you. So, yeah. I was like, pleasure to meet you, Brad. Amazing player. Just so you know, you never beat Iowa State. You never beat Seneca. So
come on now. Look, and it's
I got to represent, man. Like you can't,
You got to. I get it. Iowa is a huge Iowa still, state. Everybody's going to rep the Hawkeyes. I get it. But there's levels to it. I mean, I would never want to be put on black and yellow uniform, but you put me in, I don't even like their offense. I'm just be honest, Iowa, but you surround me in that Big Ten on how they went on. I don't believe we get blown out by USC the way they got
No,
blown out.
Yeah.
They probably win a national championship. So Brad Banks is a hell of a player. Good player. He was good for Iowa and what they did offensively, but we had two different identities.
it's a real quick
Yeah.
reminder for us with them. And I've got a lot of friends of mine that are Hawkeye fans, and they always want to remind me that Brock Purdy never beat Iowa. And I'm like, well, Seneca Wallace did twice, and Brad Banks never beat us. So stick it in.
Right. So Brock went 0-4 or 0-3?
0-3 because they didn't play in 2020.
They didn't play in 2020.
Yeah.
Was that COVID?
That was COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I think one of those other ones got thrown out because that was McNamara when they illegally recruited McNamara but yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
you were talking, Seneca, about iconic moments, right? Like you're talking about your play against Iowa and things like that. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up here, and let's watch the run. And I'd love to get you. How many times have you seen this play? Probably 1,000 times, like 10,000 times.
More than that.
Well, I got news for you. We don't get enough of it, so let's watch it, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Play for Iowa State. Second down with receivers 2 to the right. Danielson.
Man, Pete Taylor too.
That's
That's a
Here's
voice.
Wallace pumping, looking
Right.
to his right, looking, and he's going to be almost caught. Now he's running at the 25 and runs down the sideline back to the 10. Now he's giving ground. Goes
Okay,
down
I want to talk about that block too, because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to do that now.
Right. Absolutely. And they're on the sideline.
Nebraska last year.
All the million people that told me, "Oh yeah, I was right there when you ran to the end zone." Like you and every other person that said
That's
they were
my
right there.
friend Dave right now. I was there. He just commented. I was there.
right there.
Dave
Yeah.
also claims
Hey,
he was
you're
in the
running-
same
you had
end
that-
zone area where
I
you
thought your
scored
run
against Florida State.
Nebraska, was it the year before that? May have been more impressive than that one.
Oh,
That's-
absolutely.
That's
That
what I
was
think too.
Unreal, that run you had.
Well, I mean, the one against Nebraska, which people don't know, if you go back and you actually watch it, and you
find
watch the UNI game, so the very first, I want to say probably 6 or 7 games, our O-line coach and Coach Loney made myself and offensive linemen, you had to wear knee braces. Okay. So if you go back and watch it, I had knee braces on. And I'm not talking about like, there were the suction cup ones that you would wear, not like braces where, they back then they would have the little metal piece, but look at my left leg.
Yeah,
I
can
actually
see
have knee braces on. Look at Brad Banks, number
Right there,
31.
yeah.
They have the big ones on. But I'm like, I never wore knee braces in my life.
Yeah.
Why would you want me to wear knee braces? I'm a mobile, elusive quarterback. Why would I? But it was a safety thing, quote unquote. But literally after this game, I did not wear knee braces anymore.
Again, everybody in pretty tight. Wallace rolling to his left, now darts to the outside.
And this is with knee
This
braces.
is thick.
Cuts back the
That's
other way.
crazy.
And he's still on his feet, running to the 25,
Another block right there.
15, 10, 5. Touchdown,
Look it.
run by
And look,
Wallace.
you also got to remember that
Unbelievable
obviously
move by
Nebraska,
Wallace at the
this is
sideline.
their national championship team.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So this is a team that went and played a national championship game.
Right.
Now, obviously, we're getting blown out. You see the score; it's 41-0.
Yeah, we could have blocked that out.
We weren't going to talk about that.
But, Nebraska, it doesn't matter. I mean, people talk about it, but obviously that Nebraska team, offensively, and Eric Crouch and what they did, it didn't matter
Yeah.
unless you had a team full of Ed Reeds, Vince Warfolk, and all these guys in Miami. That was the only way you were
Yeah.
going to be able to stop Nebraska and what they were doing at that time, period. And so, yeah, I mean, we moved the ball a little bit. I think I had over, I don't know what it was, 280 or 300 something all-purpose yards. But at the end of the day, when you get Eric Crouch and those guards pulling and they're getting downhill with that running game, we just couldn't stop them at all. I think it was 2 plays, touchdown, another 2 plays, touchdown, another 2 plays, touchdown. And but not to negate. I mean, the run that I had, that was way better than the Texas one. I mean, Texas Tech, but
Yeah.
there was just a lot of different moments in that one. I mean, obviously the knee braces, Nebraska being Nebraska, and then obviously, Texas Tech situation. There was two teams colliding that were both ranked. Texas Tech wasn't bad. I think we were 17 or maybe lower than that, or they were 17. So it was a big game on TBS that night. And for me to do it, that was kind of like the quote unquote Heisman moment at that time.
I did get to see that game. That was that was like Iowa game and the Texas Tech game. I was living in Buffalo, New York, so I didn't get to see a lot of them, but I did get to see those two. That was those are special times. I mean, as a fan, as a former player, you just bond to it. It's just a part of who you are. My freshman year, my redshirt freshman year, we went to Nebraska. We played them over there. They had Turner Gill, Irving Fryer. They also played in the national championship game that year. They also lost to Miami that year, 31-30 in the Orange. I mean, that was so we have something in common there. Unfortunately,
right.
We got beat 72-28.
Oh Lord,
that might be the same.
Yeah.
That might be the same.
We had scored more points on them than anybody else that whole year until Miami scored 31 that night. So
I got you. Yeah.
This is my last question.
Should we take a quick break here, pay some bills real quick, Chris?
Yeah, let me ask one more question.
Some of your NFL career and then some of the things you're doing now.
Hey, go ahead, Chris. Ask your question.
Let me ask one more question here before we get. Give me 1 second. Hold on, Keith. So,
are you hearing him?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, my question is this: we've talked about the run, we've talked about the iconic moments that you've had, and so forth. And you look at all the iconic moments that Iowa State has had. But a couple years ago at the TCU game, when we had the Jack Trice honorable game, and they did all these things to honor the history of Iowa State and Jack Trice, they chose to honor you in the run. How special was that for you?
That was cool. Just to be part of, man, that was like, again, you talk about moments. How many people have, a band of 300 spell out the run on a football field and allow you to have that moment and recreate the run for the fans? And so for me, man, I mean, like I said, it's history. A lot of people cannot say they had that moment. I mean, like I said, we could talk about the Brock Purdy's, we could talk about all these other people who've came through Iowa State, Breece Hall, Montgomery, Alan Lazard, Hakeem Butler, and even the ones before, But, when you talk about what things that they've done, which they all did a lot, but one things that people can sit there and say, man, that one moment, that one this, that one that, that game when he went, 20 for 22 against Baylor. I've had a lot of iconic moments, and that just be one of the moments that we still will talk about till today.
There we go. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll get a word from our advertisers, our great sponsors,
right now.
And then we'll be right back.
What happens when Iowa grain meets world-class craftsmanship? At Revelton Distilling Company, every bottle begins right here in the heartland. From locally sourced Iowa corn and rye to the final pour, our grain-to-glass process ensures exceptional quality in every sip. Whether you're enjoying our award-winning mulberry gin, smooth honey whiskey, or rich whiskey and cream liqueur, you're tasting the best of Iowa in every bottle. And now, Revelton can ship directly to 48 states across the country. Visit ReveltonDistillery.com and have Iowa's finest delivered right to your door.
In the heart of Des Moines, one name stands above the rest. Step inside, where tradition still matters. Warm, familiar, unmistakably Iowa, where every guest is welcomed like family. Service that's personal and never rushed. Fresh starts made daily. Iowa beef, hand-seasoned. Guided by fire, built on flavor. Served with pride. A bar as bold as the menu. Featuring the old-fashioned we're known for. a place that stays with you long after the night ends. Iowa Beef Steakhouse, 1201 East Euclid Avenue, Des Moines. Steak done right.
Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's why choosing the right real estate team matters. The Jenny Farrell team with RE/MAX Concepts has been helping families across the Des Moines metro find the right home since 1998. Born and raised right here in the community, Jenny understands the neighborhoods, the market, and what truly makes a house feel like home. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading your space, or preparing to sell, the Jenny Farrell team provides expert guidance every step of the way, from market analysis and listings to negotiations and closing. Their consultative approach means you'll feel confident, informed, and supported throughout the entire process. Jenny Farrell Team, RE/MAX Concepts. Call or text 515-779-7500. Visit jenniferfarrell.remax.com. Experience you can trust. Results you can move into.
Whiskey lovers, get ready for the ultimate experience at Whiskey Fest 2026. From exclusive tastings and live music to unforgettable networking and premium pours, this is the can't-miss whiskey event of the year. Kick things off Thursday, October 1st with the Women in Whiskey Dinner at River Center DSM. Then Friday night, October 2nd, enjoy the VIP whiskey tasting event at the Meridian in West Des Moines. The celebration wraps up Saturday, October 3rd, with the whiskey tasting main event featuring incredible brands, bold flavors, VIP early entry, and more. To top it off, Old Man Strength will be broadcasting live Friday night from the VIP event. Raise your glass and join the experience at Whiskey Fest 2026.
All right, and we're back, and we have partnered with Whiskey Fest. It's a festival. It's coming up October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Des Moines. Old Man Strength's going to do a live episode there on the 2nd at the VIP tasting. That'll be super cool. Keith, if you come to town, you can be my co-host. You can get into Whiskey Fest for free.
Sounds like a plan.
There you go.
I didn't hear that.
You heard that, didn't you?
Some whiskey.
Yeah, right.
We're
doing a little bit of that today. It's been a Sunday fun day for me so far, so it's all good.
There you go.
Sorry about that. I'm having all kinds of technical issues, but it looks like my computer's back working again.
There we go. We're good to go. We can hear you.
Away, so anyway, hey, welcome to the show.
Let's play one more play because, again, we've talked about all these things, and we haven't talked about the biggest screw job in college football history, short of Troy Davis not winning a Heisman, is the fact that they called you out on this play and not in the end zone, and it's a bunch of bullshit, Seneca. That might have been the maddest I've ever been at a football game, ever, and that includes the double doink with the Bears loss in the playoffs. So, all right, here we go.
15 seconds.
Still a three-man rush. Wallace eludes the pressure. He's got to get the first down to stop the clock again. Beats a block when he finds the end zone. No. He's knocked out of bounds at the 1. Oh,
that's terrible. That's a
total
bad
bullshit.
Call. Look, if we had Pylon Cam would have told the truth.
Yeah.
But again, obviously, as you froze it, how grainy it is, we didn't have that technology.
What an amazing.
Come on now. And then we're going to let Iowa State, only game on national. Look at my right foot. Right's down, left toe.
Pin.
They're still white.
And you hit the pylon.
I'm just saying, man.
And the ball hit the pylon.
Right?
Like, touchdown.
This is an even better one. This is an even better angle. That's
look at that. That's good. That's good. If I could go back, I would take back that moment right there for sure. That puts us at like almost 7-0 going into the meat of our schedule my senior year, or 6-0.
Are you? Are we going for 2? If that's a score, you got another play the next. But are you going for 2, or are they going to kick the field goal extra time?
Or man, I mean, you would think at that point the momentum we
hurts
had,
even thinking about that right now.
right? The momentum we had, I mean, I was dead tired on that drive because I remember we had to go about 65, 70 yards. But I mean, who knows? The way Mac was, it was the Eddie Robinson Kickoff Classic. Maybe we just go for it too to win it. But back then, the analytics and data would have just told you kick the field goal, go to overtime, play extra minutes, give the fans another huge, something to cheer about moment, and we take it to overtime and see what happens.
I feel like they're on their heels, man. You just run it right down their fucking throat.
Yeah,
for sure. But that's what I'm saying. I mean,
It's easy for me to say. I was sitting on the couch.
Right. You score because you got to think. We went back and we didn't have no time. We went back and the next play he called was like an option. I was dead tired. We had to go 1 yard. And, we ran the ball okay with Hiawatha that game, but you just never know. Do you want to just take your time? Chris Ricks, was struggling a little bit, but yeah, I get your thinking of like, we're playing Florida State, we're Iowa State, nothing to lose. Let's just go for it and win it, going for 2, game over. So you can look at that both ways.
I don't think, I wonder why they picked that game. Why did they pick Iowa State and Florida State? They knew Florida State was going to be top 5. Iowa State was not going to be probably top 20.
Right.
But yet they still picked it. I wonder why.
Honestly, Keith, maybe it had something to do with, because you got to think that was the start, my junior year that I finished up. There was a lot of hype behind Iowa State football, right? So, hey, we need to pick a team for the Big 12. And we got to go ACC, Florida State, whoever we pick. Let's get a big Eddie Robinson Kickoff Classic that's going to be held right there in Kansas City, in Arrowhead. And, it would have been probably us, who's 4 hours away, Kansas or K-State. Yeah, you could have went Oklahoma. It's right there centrally. But I think the hype behind maybe myself and what I did the year before, definitely could sell some tickets, sure. Right? And people will watch it, only game on. And so, obviously, when Iowa State was presented that opportunity, I'm pretty sure they were like, look, yeah, we're going for that. Let's go.
Yeah, to me, I would think Dan McCarney is like, fuck yeah, let's go. Now, I think probably Bowden and Florida State was like, we don't want to play anybody like Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like, to me, back then, they just didn't do that, right?
Right.
In their mind, wanted to play
pick teams. Yeah,
they wanted to play a
dominate.
Cupcake, right? Yeah, and needless to know, they got punched right in the fucking mouth. So,
and you got to think too, that was Bobby Bowden's record-breaking game. Yeah. So he was going for a record. Yeah. It was like Wayne, 305, whatever. I don't know what it was, but that night you could look it up. That solidified him to catapult him to another stratosphere as far as all college games won by a head coach. And so, like you said, it was, you got Florida State ranked number 6.
That's why you were out on that play.
Correct. There's my point. They weren't going to let old Iowa State upset Florida State, which would have turned the whole landscape of college football upside down. Yeah. They were like number 6. And obviously now all of a sudden they lose to nobody that's ranked, Iowa State. They're going to drop out of the top 15 at least, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
How packed was Arrowhead with Iowa State people? It had to be.
Oh, it was packed. You think that was the first time, too. They're playing a team like Florida State. They're 4 hours away. It felt like that whole stadium was full. And, Arrowhead can hold up to, I think it's 80 plus. Yeah. So that whole thing was full. It was the only game on. It was the kickoff to college football. So, it turned out to be a beautiful night. It was a perfect situation, for us to kind of upset Florida State for sure.
I only got to see part of that game, and unfortunately, what I saw was the last 40 seconds of the game, which
it was a lot of big moments in that game, man. We had some interceptions, turnovers. I remember throwing a screen to a D tackle for them, defensive end. He fell on the ground, got back up. It just happened to be the time when he got back up, he was right there. He got a pick. But again, it was one of those games that I think really springboarded us to be able to upset and beat Iowa at Iowa, to go on this 6-7 game ride where, at one point we just got tired down the stretch, and we had to play at UT, we had to play at Oklahoma, we had to play at K-State, we had to play at Colorado.
Jeez.
And all these teams were ranked top. The only teams we had at home that year, Oklahoma State, I think we went to Kansas. Yeah, we went to Kansas. At Missouri, we had Baylor, and then one other team at home that year. But that was it. We didn't really have no tough competition. And then we just, we pissed the bed against UConn the last game of the season because, everybody was just out of it and they were upset. No one wanted to play. I just remember how bad senior day was for that game.
That is a long season. That's 13 games. August 24th to past Thanksgiving. That's a long damn time.
Long game.
20-year-old kids.
Correct.
Seneca, Keith, I'm going to ask you guys a question as players. Are you guys aware as players as much as us fans about how much we've been fucked over as a fan base over and over and over again? Because as you're talking about that, I then remember the Boise State game where we have to play Boise State in their own goddamn stadium in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Like, again,
and we had 5 guys that were held out, I believe, during that game, wasn't it?
Yep. And then I got hurt.
You got hurt, right? Yeah.
By a guy that actually is from my hometown named Bobby Hammer. Intentionally, I felt like crawled into my knee, hyperextended my knee. And so, that the bowl game I purposely left out. That was the bowl game no one wanted to play in. We went to Idaho in the freaking middle of winter.
That's bullshit.
No one wanted to go, right? And like we said, there was a couple guys that were out and playing their own home game for Boise State. So it was pretty whack, man. I could tell you that, and I don't think anybody was very happy about it.
No, on that blue ass turf.
Correct.
Oh my god!
In the middle of winter. So no, it wasn't ideal for sure.
Seneca's like, when's the draft? I can't wait to get this fucking shit over with.
Right. I literally left from there, flew to San Francisco, and really started rehabbing and then getting ready for the draft, honestly.
So let's talk about that. Keith, you want to talk about the NFL draft and his journey. How many teams met with you that wanted you to not play quarterback?
The draft process was, it was okay. It wasn't really until, Senior Bowl, there was teams that said, hey, we want you to run some extra routes over here on the side. The Chiefs, I think there was like 4 or 5 teams that said, hey, you mind running some routes for us? And we just want to see you move and this and that. I didn't do it. And so,
good for you.
Good for you.
The next couple of weeks, just honing in on development as a quarterback. I remember Jim Zorn ran our drills at the combine. I had a great meetings with, I thought Pittsburgh was going to draft me 3rd round. I thought Tampa Bay was going to draft me. John Gruden. Had great meetings with every single one of them. But our draft class was so deep with quarterbacks, quality quarterbacks. It was just hard to find where I was going to fall into place. You had Ken Dorsey, Rex Grossman, Kyle Bowler, Byron Leftwich, Carson Palmer, Bryant St. Pierre. There was...
Sorry, my visible reaction was the fact you said Rex Grossman was drafted by my favorite team and they passed on you, and I'm not happy about it. I was not happy about it.
So we had a staple, Chris Sims. So Chris Sims ended up going pick 99 or 100, and he was a quarterback right before me, and then I went after him. But, we had, Ken Dorsey, I think Rex Grossman, Carson Palmer, and Brad Banks were the 4, I think, that went to the Heisman. And obviously Brad Banks didn't get drafted at all. And then it was those 3 guys. But obviously I outdueled, And I look at it from just a career and longevity wise. Doesn't matter where you go, but I outlasted all of them minus Carson Palmer as far as career and longevity of playing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, you go to the right place, you get developed, and Seattle was a good place for me to do so.
It's fourth round, right? When you got drafted?
Yep. Fourth round, pick 110. It's always that third, fourth round. Is he a good enough guy where he could be around, he could fill in, is he first round type of material? And then back then it was, they wanted a guy that was really 6'2", 6'3", pocket passer type quarterback. That's what everybody was looking for. And as far as the athleticism goes, by far, I was the most athletic quarterback in that draft class, but the first 2 or 3 picks, the guys that were 6'3", 6'4", and up: Carson Palmer, Byron Leftwich, Kyle Bowler. And then
I'm going to go back and
just
go back real quick. I just thought of something with your college career. Was the read option really wasn't a thing when you were playing, if I remember right? But it seems to me like I saw some highlights where it looked like you guys almost did do some read option.
Yeah. No, we did a little bit of everything. We did some read option, some speed option. We kind of did a lot of whatever at that time that Loney and Coach Bricky felt like was suitable for our offense and my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, a lot of movement of the pocket, get me out of the pocket, which I did well. So I was able to showcase that, right? And I think that was why going to a West Coast system, which is where I went, and you saw that with the Joe Montanas and the Steve Youngs, where they were more mobile style quarterbacks, but a little bit before my time. I mean, now it doesn't matter how tall you are. You got younger OCs. Mike Homer is from the old school. He grew up seeing the Brett Favres and the Joe Montanas, those guys that he coached. So that's why he was, he drafted me. And when he drafted me, he said, look, you're a quarterback first. You need to learn how to play quarterback in the National Football League. And that was one thing that, he still had me out. He cast that reel out a little bit, but he didn't let it go. He wanted to make sure that he still had kind of control of what I was doing on the football field. And that was just how he operated. And, I was there 7 years with him. So, it's not like I have any resentment towards the fact of how he coached me as a quarterback.
No, you followed him over to Cleveland, right? Wasn't he coach at Cleveland too when you went over there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just a couple of things that stand out to me. Threw the longest touchdown pass in Seahawks history at the time, a 90-yard touchdown to Karan Robinson.
Yep. Yeah, man, that was first play of the game. First play of the game against Philadelphia. And, we called it, and we got a kickoff, first play of the game. We received the ball, got a penalty on the kickoff, and it pushed us back to like the 4. And Mike was like, look, we're going to keep it on. I want to keep this double move on. We know Lito Shepard's going to be aggressive, and it's probably even better because now they're going to be super aggressive, trying to create a turnover on the own 4-yard line. Let's keep it on.
Sure.
And sure enough, we got the look that we wanted, kind of a one-on-one matchup. Corn ran his little slant go. I laid it up. And I guess, I don't know, you just said, I don't know if it's still the longest play from Seahawks history, but at one point it was.
Well, let's find out. The other one that stands out here, became the first black quarterback to start a game for the Packers.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy too. I mean, you go all those years in that old franchise, regular season game. Now, have they had other guys start preseason games like Aaron Brooks, Vince Young, and other black quarterbacks that came through there? But you think about it, you're like, okay, how is Seneca the first black? But you go back to Brett Favre. Brett Favre was there as the starter for what? 17 years?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
17, 18. And then you go Aaron Rodgers. He was started there until I got there for another 10 or 8, probably 8 to 10. So for a long 20 plus years, they had the same quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I became the first one. Unfortunately, it was one of those situations. I had got hurt in training camp that same year, and it just happened the injury bug came back literally like 10 plays into the game against Philadelphia.
Wow.
Wow, that is crazy. It is that record still stands.
Boom! Come on.
There you go. Look at that.
See, I'm in the record books in Seattle, man. We had the ugliest. Since you're a Bears fan, we happen to be number 4, I think, on the list, or it might be 1, honestly, of ugliest uniforms ever worn by an NFL franchise. And it happened to be
those were not good. Those were not good.
The lime green, and it was bad. It was before the time where they were really.
I'm trying to find that play, and I just came across one with the lime green jerseys, and those are bad. Yeah, those are not good.
Bad. It was the worst uniforms ever. I mean, the blue in the jerseys, the green, none of it matched. And so it was just all bad. The whole situation was bad.
They were bad.
That's funny.
Whatever that Thursday night league when they did the different colors.
The
on
color
the
rush.
Night. Yeah.
Color rush. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How you feel about the Iowa State? So a lot of letter winner. We talked to a lot of different guys about a lot of different things, and I don't think you've ever asked this question. How do you feel about Iowa State wearing the black uniforms?
None of the stuff matters to me, man. I think nowadays, I mean, you got the traditional schools, right? Alabama, the USCs. You got these teams that traditionally are going to keep their things authentic to how they've been for years. To me now, it's the way of our world. Yeah. I mean, it's the way the kids kind of see things now, man. The recruiting process, all the different things that go into it. And so for me, we got our tradition. Sure. And I think, maybe 1 or 2 games a year, you go back and you say, here's our tradition. We're going to go back to the throwback. That way fans kind of feel like, okay, I respect that. I love when we go to throwbacks. Yeah. It's pretty dope, right? Yep. It's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Seattle. Now these teams, they go back to their old tradition, then you got more respect for it. So, there's going to be times if, Alabama's been Alabama for years. Now they go out there and they change it up. Yeah, people are going to be like reluctant and say, oh, that's ugly. It's going to be hard until they find the right match. Yeah. And then, a few years later, they go back to, their tradition, and USC the same way. But I think it's cool because that's what these kids want. They weren't around to see. I mean, all they know is Alabama. Alabama's always been known that they're going to get the best of the best because of their program and their success that they've had over the last 20, 30 years. So I know I'm going to go to Alabama. I'm going to get coached hard. I'm going to play against the best competition, and I'm going to possibly get drafted in the first 3 rounds if I'm a good enough player. That's why I go there. They're not going there. Everybody goes to Oregon. They put out players. But it's not every year they were playing in national championship games. Everybody's going there. I want the swag. I want the uniforms. Every week we're playing in something different. So, you get a different clientele. You get a different type of prospect that you're recruiting.
Different mindset of kids nowadays.
Correct.
Just crazy.
Penn State's going to wear black uniforms.
What's that?
I wonder if Penn State will wear black uniforms.
I'm not giving Penn State any airtime whatsoever on this network. They're all dead to me. Every one of them,
man.
All of them. You turn your back, you're out of here. That's right. It's a Cyclone show.
We had a lot of them.
Yeah.
Seneca, we were talking about this before the show started, but somebody just asked what's your thoughts on the Netflix QB series? We were just talking about this before the show.
Love it.
Actually, Dave asked in the group chat because there's a lot of shit talking in that show, and he had asked Marcus and Brent who were the biggest shit talkers when they played. So what are your thoughts on the NFL QB series? And then I'll ask you, what are some of the biggest shit talkers you played against?
I mean, honestly, man, I'm a huge. I know how to get under people's skin.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
I do talk my shit, and obviously I let my play speak for itself too. But the show itself is I love watching it because I would rather watch that. I love documentaries. I love real life stuff, and that's one of them because it tells the story. I mean, you got Flacco going through all his trade things and moving parts and leaving one place and then having to go to Cincinnati and then play that week, trying to learn an offense. And then you got Baker Mayfield, and they're talking about his story and how he had to be resilient getting cut from Carolina and then having to go to the Rams. He gets to the Rams. Sean McVay gives him his wristband. We're going to call all the plays off the wristband. And then all of a sudden he gets in the game. Sean McVay, because he's a competitor, wants to call plays. He gets off script. And now Baker's like, dude, I had no idea. And that's how just crazy, and things that people don't know that they get to see, right? And so that's why I like seeing quarterback, because it puts you in the day-to-day grind that quarterbacks have to go through. Kirk Cousins was on it last year. And I love the fact of how they take certain aspects of things that quarterbacks have to deal with, and they put context to it. Like, quarterbacks have to deal with, having a short-term memory. What does that look like in a game, right? Joe Flacco or Baker Mayfield just fumbled, had to go back out the next series. He threw a pick, but then he comes back and they go 21 unanswered points. And what did that look like on the sideline? What did that look like with the conversations with the coach, right? And so it just takes you to a different space where you have a little bit more respect for what these quarterbacks have to go through on a day-to-day basis, and just their mindset and how they're wired. I mean, no one wants to sit there as a quarterback and just let somebody come at 20 miles an hour at you and just hit you. And you got to make a line drive throw. And it's that much better when obviously there's a big catch. T. Higgins on the back end making a huge catch, and I had to sit down there and look through the barrel of a gun while somebody just went and cracked my ribs. Mm-hmm. So for me, I watch it like that because that happened to me even when I was in Arizona. I've never had a cracked rib until I had to sit there in the pocket against Arizona, and Deion Branch is running to go. I got to look at this nickel coming unfree, knowing I have time to let it go, and his face mask went right on my ribs and cracked 2 ribs. But it made it that more gratifying when it was a touchdown pass. So it's all these things that happen when you watch the show Quarterback. Now, as far as the shit talking go, I always try to keep it to, you got to keep it to a minimum, right? You still have a huge job to do, but it's hard to not have to deal with, when somebody's saying something to you, you suck, this and that. You got to give it back. But for quarterbacks, it has to be quick. You can't be a terrible
clever.
shit talker.
I would think, and clever. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
like you always got to have some in the chamber. There was Aaron Rodgers used to always go back, and he would want little tidbits on every DB. He would want to know things that stuck out with the D lineman. So if there was a D lineman that was having an issue on social media, which is now is easier, or a cornerback or somebody else, he wanted that intel because he would use it against him on the field. So there's certain ways, cleverness and wittiness that you have to have just playing this position, because you got 80,000 people watching you, and then you got 11 players on the other side who are also trying to take your head off.
Yeah.
So you got to stay locked in. You know what I mean? And so it's just part of the job.
It's funny you've talked about Brett Favre, you talked about Aaron Rodgers. I'm obviously a professed Bears fan. You broke my heart when you signed with them. I'm just gonna let you know. But I hated those two fucking guys when they played against me, especially when Aaron said that he owned the Bears in that little thing.
Which is true.
But then you see him go to the Jets and he's hanging out with some Cyclone fans. You're like, I could probably root for Aaron Rodgers for a little bit now. You know what I mean? So,
when he's on your team, he's on your sideline. I mean,
when he's
definitely,
not, 100%.
He's one of those dudes, man. Aaron, for example, is just he's the most unique, athletic quarterback that I've been around. Just different, just from his mindset. And when I say athletic, it's not Lamar athletic, but just the way he can throw the ball from different platforms, and the things that he would do just beating you mentally.
Yeah,
that was different. It's like playing a poker player, straight face. You don't know what his next move is going to be. He knows, but you don't. And he's always one step ahead of you type situation.
I've got a lot of buddies of mine. They play baseball and other things, and they always say the hardest thing to do in any sport is hit a baseball. And I would say yes, with this caveat. Every single play that goes on in a football game, that quarterback has to be on it or it's a failure. And they can mess with you really fast. And you just brought it up. You knew you had time. You knew you had to play, but you still took a freaking face mask or a helmet in the ribs. I can't think of any position in any sport anywhere harder than playing at quarterback in junior high, much less the NFL.
I mean, but like that's why there's no debate, right? We know there's sports that are very difficult to play. And it's you and a golf ball. It's you and 4 other teammates on the basketball court. Soccer, all these individual sports, track, volleyball, but the ultimate team sport and position that is one of the, obviously, like we said, the hardest to play. And you got to take into account, you have to do it in inclement weather, rain, snow, sleet, right? Yes, we have pads on. Hockey has its own situation, right? And you're going around at 20 miles an hour and you got to, of course, we get that. But that's all, every person on the ice is wired like that. They're hitting each other, they're doing their thing. Quarterbacking is a mental tasking situation that you're in charge of a $3.5 billion enterprise.
Yeah.
That if you don't take care of your body, like Baker Mayfield is doing on the show, that you can't go in and that team and that organization won't operate if you're ill, you're sore, you're sick, anything. Because now they invested all this money into you. You need to invest it into yourself to make sure you're available. And that's just one part of it, right? And then you got to go out there and you have to practice. They literally just went to training camp 2 days. And a lot of these guys, 2026, 2027 season is not going to be over till January.
Yeah.
And now the grind starts. Every single day, you have to push yourself to the limit. And a quarterback can't have any days off. We always talk about you got to fake it till you make it, false enthusiasm, all this stuff. They only go as you go. Practice only operates at a high level when you operate at a high level. And then you got to do it on Thursday. You got to turn around. Some of them got to do it on Sunday. Turn around and do it on Thursday. And you're just now recovering from a bone bruise, from, a dislocated finger, which, Joe Flacco had on one of the shows. A sore MCL, all these different things from a physical sport that you have to deal with the mental part of it and then the physical part of it. And then the inclement weather. We're not all playing in a gym. We're not all on a mat wrestling. So for me, there's no brainer that the fact that playing quarterback is the toughest position of any sport that there is.
And on top of all of that you said, you have to know what every other position is supposed to do too on every single play.
Oh, we're not even talking about that, Chris. I mean,
I'm just saying, like that. On top of that, like the fullback doesn't need to know what the tight end's going to do. Like every time, you know what I mean? Like
you are in control. That's why I said nothing operates if the quarterback is not in control and he's not available.
Yep.
Period. Now that's why you got backups that get paid good money. You got the starter, of course, who gets paid all the money. But in order for an offensive line to know I got to change protections, we might have 10 to 15 protections that a quarterback has to know in a split second to change that protection. All right. I have to know when I'm trying to spit out a play. All right, spread right, A right. Let's go 2-jet, halfback, 2-jet double option, A swing left. Oh, and the quarterback, the receiver, the X is asking me a question. What do I got? What do I got? What do I got? And you're doing all this while the headset is going in and out, and you're trying to put your hands over your ears. I can't hear. Hold on. All right, personnel, E. All right, and you're trying to dissect all this stuff, get them to the line of scrimmage, go through the cadence, see rotation, see pressure, protect yourself, snap the ball, and throw the ball on time through a little small window. So
what's the problem?
Yeah. What's the problem? I mean, anybody can do it.
And then when somebody tips it and it gets intercepted, it's your fault.
Correct. Then you got to get up, you make the tackle, and hopefully you don't throw your shoulder into him and dislocate your shoulder and doing so. So
I'm fucking exhausted just listening to that whole thing.
Man, I mean, your brain will be is fried. I mean, I always talk about like one of the long play calls that I had just playing, as, in Seattle. Use shift to change left slot. Sprint right. GU corner. Halfback flat on yellow. Ready? Break. So you would say all that. Get up there. Yellow 80, yellow 80, yellow 80, blue 80, blue 80, and then go. But you're doing all this to run a two-man route. Use shift to change left spot. Sprint right, GU corner, halfback flat. On yellow. Ready? Break. Get up there and run the play. But you got to do all this sometimes 18 seconds. Get them up to the line of scrimmage and run the play.
And that's a short play call for Holmgren.
Yeah.
Correct. That was one of his when we got down to that red zone, things would definitely get a lot wordy.
Yeah.
But fellas, man, look, it's 7:18. No, I don't want to get off. I love talking ball, but I also train kids, and I
can tell that. I was just gonna say, I can see how much joy you're getting out of talking about football that I get. I could listen to you all night, Seneca, and I cannot thank you enough for giving us the time to do that. I would love to have you on again some other time, maybe during the season or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, I could listen to you talk football all night long.
Anytime, man. Y'all just reach out and go Cyclones, man. And hopefully Rodgers can do his thing, and we'll see what happens with these this football season this year.
You're gonna love him. Hopefully you get a chance to meet him, or maybe you already have. You're gonna love this guy. He is awesome.
I love it, man.
Awesome.
We got to see what we do once we put these pads on. We get between them lines.
They're going to be physical. So,
all right.
Yeah, I like to end the show the way we've always done the show. And from this loyal son to that loyal son, I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on to our show and tracking the storm. If you get a chance, give us a follow.
I will. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We're tracking the storm, watching it form from Crutchfield's grind to Troy's 2K storms. Seneca spinning through the rain and roar, turning third and long to forevermore. From Jack's I will to the Campbell years, we build up hope out of heartbreaking tears. Yeah, the line holds strong and the faith's reborn. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Here comes Johnny Orr, fist up in the air. Tonight's show theme and that Hilton stare. Took a quiet Coliseum, turned it into a spare. Where top 25 giants learn to fear this well. Hilton magic swirling like a cyclone wind. We're nine on the pivot, made the rafters spin. Step back, jump